Hi.
Ni hao.
Namaste.
Guten Tag.
안녕하세요.
Bonjour.
Welcome back to the Seven Frequenceas podcast, episode
4. Woo!
Yay.
Today we'll be talking about our international experience.
Yes.
So what is that, you may ask?
Well, first of all, let's say some rude person stole our room.
And we're sat on
And
the
they booked it
floor
and we
under a
didn't.
table.
So we're sat in this other recording booth.
and we're looking
we're all
super
huddled.
gorgeous.
We're all huddled together.
Yeah.
It's a very intimate experience.
Yeah.
It's
sharing.
very
So
intimate.
hopefully our voices sound okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No one's behind the computer. Putting a lot of trust into
We're
that.
we're all in the audio room today,
Yeah.
guys.
I
Yeah.
feel so much more comfortable like this, not gonna lie.
Yeah,
Should we
nice.
do like a quick who's here? Well, everyone's here except.
Everyone's here except
Amelie.
Amelie. Bless.
All
right.
gonna miss
She's
you.
in Leeds.
Yeah,
dancing.
she has a dance competition, so
Yeah. Oh, well
We
done,
wish her
Amelie.
luck.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're
Love
cheering
you,
on
Amelie.
her.
Big love, big up.
Big up, big love.
So, in the room today we have Charis.
Yeah.
Just me, actually.
It's just Charis.
Charis and the voices in her head.
Fredi.
Hyein, Serena.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So basically, I feel like I wanted to sort of talk about this topic because I obviously grew up in Hong Kong, which is a very multicultural city and a past colony of Britain. But yeah, I just thought it would be an interesting experience. Talking about how that has sort of affected me and my view on the world, like my culture references, my languages, my education, and sort of how that differs from people who perhaps have grown up in other education systems. And yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I am also from a British colony. #Mumbai, India. Yeah, I love talking about colonization. It's kind of weird because I actually do feel like I think about it a lot ever since coming to London, because I'm like in London and it's like, oh, my ancestors.
Do you think of the Roman Empire every day?
What is your Roman Empire?
Well,
I forgot about that. That was so annoying.
No, sorry.
no, it's fine.
no, yeah, I don't know. I think for me, my international experience also like actually kind of like studying in London really helped me think about history, and like I feel like I wouldn't have thought about it as much if I was just in Mumbai. So that was a good needed awareness that I think, yeah.
I think I've also thought, but I've grown up in Britain and I'm British, but I don't think I thought as much about that in Nottingham. Like somehow being in the capital city makes you feel like, oh, I'm in Britain, you know, like it's such like this signifier of that. I don't know, and like it's the political headquarters, isn't it? Like
I had this guy say to me like a few weeks ago, because he was like, oh, can I guess that you're from Hong Kong? And I was like, how did you guess that? And then he said, the awareness of British culture whilst not being British, obviously, like not having a British accent, I guess, or whatever. But it's because I was talking about like a British cartoon or something, I guess, and I was like, oh, that's
a
interesting.
British cartoon.
I heard that.
A British. Yeah. Oh wait, we should also give a shout out to Lawrence, who got us this room.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you, Lawrence.
I
Love you, Lawrence.
love
Yeah,
Lawrence.
thank you so much,
I'm
Lawrence.
number one on Lawrence fan club.
Keep that in. Yeah, but anyways, thank you so much, Lawrence, for giving us the space to continue our podcast for this week. We're very grateful.
Yes.
Yeah, they just associated people from Hong Kong as having this awareness of British culture whilst obviously not actually being part of it. But yeah.
But what is British culture?
I don't know.
Beans on toast?
Marmite?
My
Isn't
friend.
Marmite like Australian?
No, Vegemite.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought
Fish
both were
and
Australian.
chips.
No.
Fish and chips.
It's really weird, like when I
Chicken
went
tikka masala.
chicken. Stop.
Oh
Isn't
my
that from
God.
Glasgow? It originated in Glasgow.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Fun
I
fact.
know that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay.
But yeah, my friend, when I first met her, Ria, Are we allowed to name drop people? Well, it's too
Absolutely.
late now.
Yeah.
Wait,
If it's positive, yeah.
Anyway, she was like, yeah, when I first met you, I thought you were British, but then you had a weird accent. So I was like, what do you mean? Like at first she thought I was British, which is weird because I never considered myself British. And I was like, why? Like, what aspect of me made you consider that I'm British? And she was like, I don't know, your mannerisms and the way you speak and like the vocabulary you use.
I disagree. Can I say?
No, and I was like, how does that make me British? And she was like, I don't know, but then you also had a weird accent, so I couldn't really tell. Like you were like British, but you weren't British, so it really confused me. I was like, interesting. I don't think I've ever considered myself British. Yeah.
Do you want to explain your lore?
That's a long ass. It's really long, but long story short, I like to say I was kidnapped legally by my parents from China, deported, and then I went to the US, and then what happened? I don't know. I just lived there for a bit.
Oh.
Yeah, and then my parents had like work in France, so I'd be like in France as well. And then finally we moved to the UK while also still going to France. And then I stopped going to France at like 10. And I'm here, but I graduated in the French system in the UK.
So would you say like you resonate with French culture or something?
No. None of my family is French.
No, but I mean like from like your education system.
No, because they're not very like, I don't know, the only like French culture I ever got was like the not festivals, I don't know, like, you know, the like special days.
Mardi Gras.
Yeah, like that are like celebrated in the school, but only like as food. You know what I mean? Like for like the canteen foods. So we'd get like the galette des rois, which is like, you know, a pie. I don't even know. Is it like a pie? No.
Galette is pie.
A pie. I don't know. And then there's like a thing called a fève, and it's like a little like ceramic thing. Sometimes, I don't know, no, maybe not plastic because they have to put it in the oven, but it's like some ceramic thing that they put, and you cut it up, and whoever gets it in their slice is like the king.
I remember this.
Yeah. And then there's a queen, and then, yeah, I don't know.
Didn't they do something similar at Christmas time?
It's very
with, like,
medieval.
some cake or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, that actually unlocked a memory.
Yeah,
Oh
literally.
my god.
I was like,
Yeah.
Madame Chadier. French at primary school.
Oh. But yeah.
That's, I mean, sorry, I know you guys.
It's okay. Go.
I was just going to say, like, I feel like that, I mean, wait, so that was French, that was like the only bit of French culture you
Well,
could be saying?
I mean, there were other things, but I guess, I don't know, that's like the most,
You
like,
can talk about your dad now.
oh, well, I mean, I don't know, we went to France like last week, and I don't know, I used to drink this juice the brand is called Dano, and it was like I drink it every single day as a child. So I was like, me and my friend who also like lived in France, we were both looking for our childhood like snacks and like drinks, and she got like four boxes of like cereal, and I got four big bottles and then 2 smaller bottles of like the juice that I used to drink as a kid. So I still have 3 bottles in my fridge right now that I'm currently consuming.
Mini
Yes.
grocery store in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was just going to say, I remember last year, I had to read this essay that was talking about like cultural representation in primary schools, and it used this term that it like kept coming back to, which was saris, samosas, and steel pans, like the 3 S's. And it was talking about like how when you like learn about other culture, it's like, oh, here's some food, here's some music, here's some costume in air quotes, and how like it's this very like, from a parent's perspective, you would think like, oh, my kid's gonna grow up being really educated about other people, but it's this very like celebratory, like sugar-coated idea of like, you know.
What classes
that
did
kind
you
of-
do at primary? Like, did you do English and maths plus other subjects, or did you?
At primary school?
Yeah,
Literacy, numeracy.
yeah, because that's all I did.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, it was, but that's the thing, it wasn't so much in this thing, it's about the festival days that you'd have, or like
yeah,
the like
that's true.
special days to like eat a samosa and like, you know,
Make
and that's as far as a lot of that's as far as a lot of primary
Diwali
school
lamp.
goes. Exactly. And it's like that's not enough to like understand, you know, like the history. Obviously, you don't need to explain the deep history of colonialism to like 7-year-olds, but like a little bit of more, you know, grounded education would be so helpful.
Yeah, I was trying to say, because like the thing with like food and stuff is like, even though it's not our culture, because you grew up in such like an international or like environment, there's so many things that you associate with that is reminiscent of stuff that people would say is like part of them growing up and like important to them, you know, which is like very interesting, I think. Because even I didn't buy 4 packs of something, but I had a drink which included grenadine, which is this like blackcurrant-esque.
I don't
Is it
know.
pomegranate?
It's not.
Oh, pomegranate? I don't know.
I'm
not sure. I think
it's
berry,
But it's some
and
sort
it's
of
red.
berry syrup thing that can be turned into like a juice. It's kind of like Ribena-esque, but not really. Well, like much better. And I would drink it like with my friends in primary school, and it was really good. And then my French teacher, well, obviously we grew up, and my French teacher stopped giving it to us.
Oh.
And then I
You're
hadn't
too old for
had it
grenadine.
until I went back to France, and I was like, this is so good. But yeah, it's very interesting.
I feel like I have a slightly, I guess, like different experience because I've moved around a lot. It's like not even between countries, but like also just moving houses, which I think does have an impact in some respects. But I lived in Korea and I went to primary elementary school in Korea for 1 year, and then I moved to Dubai, where, I mean, I've already explained this, I think, but maybe not as much as in detail. I lived in Dubai for about 4 years, and then I came to the UK for 2 years, and then I moved back to Dubai for another 5 years, where I graduated high school, sixth form, whatever. And now I'm back in the UK for uni.
Yeah.
So I've like, it's like sort of the same 3 countries, but I've like sort of rotated between quite a bit. It's interesting growing up immersed in like a geographical location as well, and in a place where like, for example, like South Asian or like Middle Eastern, Mediterranean sort of cultures are sort of already present and is very much just a part of everyday life. It's not, so like there isn't necessarily a need, I guess, not a need actually, there is a need of course, but it's not as big of a thing to make it a point to, you know, you have to try this dish or like A, B, C, D, because a lot of the people you'll meet in general, going to school in Dubai or like growing up in the UAE, etc., you're just sort of like exposed to it anyway. Like the dishes that they serve in school might be like, it might range anyway from like a samosa and like biryani to like, I don't know, like a pasta bar. So I think I sort of initially when I was younger grew up in a space where I didn't have to think about the divisions as much, and it was also a bit different in the sense that there are loads of people who've come straight from the countries, because I do feel like there is a difference between maybe some people who have I mean, I feel like Dubai specifically, like the UAE, doesn't have a longer history of immigration, and so not a lot of people stay for a long time. So I feel like I've noticed this definitely since coming back to uni. It's a really different sort of like feeling, because I feel like in the UK there's a longer history of people who have been here for generations, like, and that just doesn't really happen in Dubai. There's a weird sense of like, I don't know, displacement, because like my friends will stay and then they'll leave, and then, you know, other people will stay and then they'll go, and I've done the same thing. And so yeah, it's interesting. And like I feel like when I was younger I was like struggling with like maybe like labels about national identity, cultural identity, but I'm now in a position where I'd rather just not be like boxed into anything. Feeling like a true third culture kid here. But yeah, there's still like an interesting tension between like sort of floating around in between places, and like not maybe fully always like looking at things from like a singular or like a unified sort of cultural perspective, and then like also just like being glad that I can approach it from like a different perspective. Because going back to like education, I was thinking about this recently. I'm in a position where I can challenge potentially Western views using Western terminology.
That's so true.
So like
I've never
it's
thought
it's
about
it's
that,
a
yeah.
different way of like critiquing like certain viewpoints as well. Like I can do so in a way that's like already established in like maybe a Western context, whereas like, you know, there might be barriers with communication or like some sort of personal expression if I was to approach it maybe from like a completely different vocabulary or like ways of thought and stuff like that. I don't know where I'm going with this, but yeah.
No, I would say the same thing for international schools, because we grow up with like the international curriculum, but also like I wanted to go back to what Fredi was saying about like how certain aspects of culture are like brought up more, like, you know, like food or celebrations. And
The ones that are like easy to digest.
yeah, and
Yeah.
stuff like colonization. Obviously, like you don't want to just tell a child like about the history, but I also think like I did not grow up learning enough about that at all. Like it was like, because as soon as we got into like year 6, it was more of like specific international curriculums, and then it was like IGCSE, IB, and obviously you have to follow the syllabus because you have to do well, and like if you're in an international school you're already like privileged, but you're also like very likely you're going to go study abroad, and like you need to do well. So it's just like, it's not exactly anyone's fault, but I feel like I know so much more about like the world histories when I think I should have started with my country.
That's true, because I think it's a weird thing where I obviously grew up in Hong Kong when it's back, like, well, it was like technically under China. So then like every night on the news, like we'd eat dinner and then we played the news on the side, and every single night on the news it plays like the Chinese anthem, which I never like realized was like not normal, but like I never realized was like a thing that like, it's like if I tell someone, they're like, oh, that's interesting, you know what I mean? And it's like something that's so ingrained into my, like the song is like, I know it so well, but it's like I really resonate with this like national identity. But like it's just something that kind of exists in my everyday life. But then like in school, I obviously went to a French school, and when I was in the British section of the French school, if that makes sense. So like when I did history, I learned about the Cold War and after World War II and everything that happened between the Western forces, and the only like thing I learned in history about like actual Asian countries were like the Korean War and like Vietnam. I don't even know like Vietnam's involvement, and like Japan, and anyways.
I feel like even when we discuss the World War, like so many things I've like found out about like through colonialism, like Indian soldiers, stuff like that, I found out much later on my own. But to be fair, like I will say it's also like a personal thing, because I was never that into history, so I never had that interest, and I just like probably didn't try enough as well. So
yeah, I mean,
you
I
shouldn't
also
technically have to try to find these things out. I think like we should be taught those
Yes,
things.
I guess.
You know,
I
the
think
way that they're taught is part of the problem. It's not necessarily that you should go seek it out.
Yeah, I agree. And like on that point as well, similarly, it is interesting that British colony specifically, because the UAE was a British colony until the 70s, when it became like an actual independent country. But I feel like I don't know whether, I mean, I have a very limited scope of like knowledge on this, but I don't know, I don't remember, at least personally, it being covered in a lot of detail at school. Granted, I went to a British curriculum / like international school, so the priority probably would have just gone to the standardized like history curriculum. But like the sort of, I feel like the aftermath and like the sort of maybe potentially like cultural impacts of that is something that I don't actually have a lot of knowledge about, and I'm sure there's been loads of coverage on it, and I just like I realize more and more now that like that's a long part of history that I just actually don't know much about.
No, I agree. I was gonna say like the only thing I really learned about Chinese history is from when I took like specifically Chinese lessons in an academy outside of my school, and that's like, even that was, I learned it when I was really young, and then I kind of stopped doing it. And then like right now my knowledge on like Chinese or even like Hong Kong colonial history is so limited. And I recently did a play where I reset it to like the year that the government was like, the UK government was handing over Hong Kong back to China, and I was exploring the sort of instability of that within people who lived in the city at the time. But even that, I didn't like I didn't even go into it that much, and I only learnt more information about that like literally last year, which is kind of crazy to think about, considering, you know, I'm like almost 20. So yeah, I don't really know where I was going with that, but
I mean, I think it's like, it's so much about like the way that things are framed to you, and like as a child you don't understand that what your teachers tell you isn't complete fact and complete truth, and like you trust them, so like, you know, like you trust any figure of authority to you like so like wholeheartedly, you know. And like I remember, I think it was in year 6, we had this external speaker to like explain World War II to us or something, and all I remember from it was that like quite close to the end he went, "And we won!" and like cheered, and like the whole class cheered. And even then I remember thinking like, something feels a bit weird about this, like like what do you mean we, when it's like a class full of like people from multiple cultures, especially
like idolization of like people like Churchill.
Yes.
Never look into what
oh my gosh,
the
yeah.
actual, like what his actual views are, what he actually did, like his relationship to like India, for example, and what he said about Indians. Oh my god.
No, I remember finding out about this as well, because it was not that long ago. And I also remember randomly seeing like, I don't know, there was this whole thing about like statues around London and the people who are celebrated, and obviously like so many of them are anyways like problematic figures, and I think there's one of Gandhi, and Gandhi as well is like, I don't know, just there's just so much that you just find out, and it's like obviously not every person is perfect, but it's just I think it's a bit much. Like it's just, I feel like every time I find out something, I'm just like, how was I so unaware? And it's quite disappointing.
But it is exactly what we were saying about like, what are we taught versus
But on the complete opposite side of that, like we had this conversation in 6th form, I remember, where my friend was like, when you think of Gandhi, what is the first thing you think of? And like all of the like British people were like, oh, obviously that he was a pedo, you know? And like, and she was like, but like, do you not know like what he did? Like, do you not know like the point of him as like a historical figure? And like a couple of them didn't, and I was like, that's so weird that like as British people they like, you know, like I don't know, it's like completely opposite of what you were saying.
I don't know, it's all so complicated.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
But I do often think about, actually, you know, this is going not where I think it was supposed to go, but just like British colonization and like the partition of countries and the countries that are currently in conflict, and like I think about that sometimes.
There's so many things. It's always Britain. It all leads back to Britain. Like if you look at the history books.
To be fair, like that's really true. But that's this is on a completely different note. But that's the one reason it's like, every time I like hate on America, I was like, oh, wait, they were a colony too. Like,
oh my god. Wait, but I get it.
Sorry, that's so.
No, I do think. So I'm like steering it away from the point, but I do think it's interesting because I don't think I ever really realized how much like the British colonization of Hong Kong influenced Hong Kong until like more recently, because there are a lot of streets in Hong Kong that have the same name as like the like British streets. Like I was walking past like Warren Street, and it was in Hong Kong, and I was like I've been to that street in London. And it's so weird. And also obviously recently with like all the like protests and political conflict with like China grasping their hold, I feel like I never realized how like Englishified, I don't know how to, like anglicized Hong Kong as a city was, like with like store names and like restaurants and like types of like stores that you get, until more and more like Chinese branches and stuff appeared in Hong Kong, that I realized like, oh, this is actually like quite different to what it was like when I grew up. And then I realized that there actually is quite a big influence.
And also
in that way.
how recent that, like, Britain leaving
Yeah.
Hong Kong is. Like, I don't think people realise I
it
guess
was 1996.
Yeah.
Wait, 1997. So
That's really
it's
Yeah.
so recent.
That
That's
is-
insane.
yeah,
Yeah.
that is really really soon. Yeah.
Bringing it back to then, like, sort of the international experience and also just like international students experience, I guess, do you think that's shaped how you interacted with people? Like, I mean, obviously you went to boarding school, like, I mean, I'm opening this up to like the room as well, but obviously you went to boarding school here, but you know, like, I assume it probably would have helped, you know,
Yeah.
it, like, interacting with
Mhm.
like, let's say, home students, because I feel like a lot of the recurrent, obviously, always dilemmas with like international students is that they would like to make friends with home students, or, you know, like the local students, air quotes, but they find it hard to maybe like connect.
Yeah.
So
My friend did a study
Yeah.
on that.
Ooh,
It's a
that's
really
interesting.
interesting.
And she like got a group of international students in a room, and it was like a questionnaire about like
That's really interesting.
and yeah, most of them said like they try, but it's like so it's like a joke they can't get in on. Like, it's like this really difficult like thing to like work your way into, which I can't imagine, because like when I think about like me and like a couple of my halls friends that also grew up in Britain, I'm like, our humour doesn't make sense. Like, I don't even understand it. Like, I can't
Carl says
imagine.
that to me, like, that a lot, there's just a very different type of humour that sometimes like it's, if you haven't had years and years here, it's just hard to break that wall and understand it, because British humour is like very
It's weird.
specific.
Yeah,
It is very weird.
Yeah.
I do think, like, yes, it's a really weird thing where I definitely do relate to a lot more like international and home students. I would say that like I definitely learned more about British culture more recently, because obviously I watched like horrible histories in school, but then the like media and culture I would consume on my own time is mostly American stuff, because I remember I literally have a very distinct memory of like my friends or like my classmates talking about the Kardashians when I was younger, and me being like, what, like, I didn't understand, and then I tried to like learn about it, you know what I mean? But then I feel like it's like the opposite, where now I would love to like make friends with like the Chinese students, but it's really hard for me to, because I instinctively became closer with like other international students or home students, and then because of that, well, I think I mentioned before, but they don't think that I can speak Chinese, and then they don't like try and, you know, talk to me much, and then it's just like I also don't know how to approach them, because I feel like I always feel really awkward like starting a conversation in Chinese, because I'm like, that's so weird, because I've only been speaking English, and now I'm like, yeah. So I think it's definitely easier for me to connect, because I know more like references and culture, and then it makes it harder for me to connect to my own culture, which is like not what it's supposed to be like. So I am like actively trying to connect more. Yeah.
It's interesting that it's so like heavily based on like cultural references rather than even language. I would say, like, it's interesting. I know it sounds really stupid, but it's like who we consider as, when you think like, oh, the international students, there is definitely like a massive divide between international students. Like, I can't remember who proposed like the idea of about like the language versus who's been to like international school. I think there is that divide, and it is really clear, and I think it is beyond just language.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So I do feel like a bit of an imposter sometimes when I hear them talking in Chinese, and like I understand every single thing they're saying, but I don't feel like I can like butt into the conversation, because I feel like they'll be like, whoa, like you just understood everything I said. Like, yeah, I did. But it's
I would say though, I feel like obviously like the internet has made it so much easier to connect. Like, and I think also like part of the thing about like being an international student is just like, I feel like at least with like a lot of the like Indian home students I see, it's like either you like get into like an Indian friend group like of home students, and then it's like very difficult to get out of, or if you don't get into that for whatever reason. Like, I feel like with me, because our course doesn't have Indian home students, it was a lot easier for me to make friends with other people, I think, because
that's been a recurring theme in my life as well. Like, just, I mean, there are lots of Korean expats in Dubai, but in my school specifically there weren't many. And so and even at uni, obviously, like, I come here and I'm not exactly like, there is a big Korean society, like, community present in the UK, but yeah, just like because of the position I'm in right now, it's like it's been nice, really. But also I think actually coming from, like, being someone who's grown up away from Korea but then not really here either, like somewhere in between, like, geographically as well, I actually found myself, like, wanting to find more, like, Korean friends. And then, like, within that, again, like, the divide between the international students, where there are people who came straight from Korea to uni, or people like me who were, like, somewhere in between, or sometimes, like, a whole another case altogether, like, that kind of situation. But yeah.
I feel like it's also, like, with moving, like, obviously you've moved a lot more than I have, but I feel like even, like, once you move, it's like another layer. Like, I mean, my closest friends from back home, they've also gone to study abroad, and so we can still connect. But then if I meet, like, other people who've stayed in India, it's like, it gets a bit more, like, it's just layers on layers. It's like, yeah, I don't know, it's just different.
Okay, sorry, what do you mean by that?
I think it's like, just when you get different exposure, it's just like, it's like a new angle. Sometimes I feel like it's almost like, this is one thing, because obviously most of my friends here are not Indian, or like, I feel like I'm, like, slightly different, but I can't tell on what, like, basis. Like, it's almost like, yeah.
Like, in what way?
That's what I can't tell. It's like, because I know obviously I'm, like, the same person with the same thoughts and the same feelings.
Oh, you mean like when you're here versus
yeah,
when
the
you're...
way I act.
Oh, I see.
Like,
Well,
it's
code
just,
switching.
well,
That's that's another big topic.
yeah, but it's like
Good
not
code
even
switching
like
episode.
code switching, like, accents, or like, I don't know. I don't even know.
It's like a
I think,
whole
but, like,
way
code
of
switching is
existing,
beyond
isn't it?
accents.
That's
It's
true.
your,
I
like,
also-
attitudes and, like, even the way you hold yourself, like, that can change
Yeah.
by a lot.
I also think
And
it's
it's
like...
not always often it's not conscious.
I think it's kind of like also like with friendships, it's like you're friends with so many different people and like for different reasons, so it's like you act this different way around different friends because you guys bond over different things. So I think it's, well, not exactly the same, like similar to that, as in like you have a lot of different aspects to you as a person that you bring out when you're around different people. And I think like on the friends thing, it's like I don't even think I have like a best friend that's from Hong Kong. Like, I mean, like from Hong Kong and is Chinese. And it's so weird because now, like, whenever I go home, like, obviously I go home a lot because my family live there, but most of my best friends that I've met and grown up with in Hong Kong, they've all moved away because their families are not actually, like, connected to Hong Kong as a place. So they've obviously just, like, they can move away. And then I think I only really have, like, one home friend that's actually, like, from Hong Kong and is Chinese. And then all my other friends that are from Hong Kong I've met in uni. And it's just, yeah, when I think about, like, my best friends are, like, they can't actually, like, relate to the Chinese-ness of my family and, like, yeah, that.
Yeah, I think also what I meant with, like the moving, I feel like it's a bit, like, because, also, like, well, for me, I was, like, in one place my whole life, right, before coming to uni, and so it's really, like a clean slate, like, no one here knows me, and so every time I go home, it's like I slip into, like, an older version of myself. Like, it's just that,
I
like,
think is
I
the
have-
case though, like,
yeah,
even
I have the same thing.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's incredibly different.
no, but
like,
yeah, it's like just
the same-
places.
Fundamentally,
and, like,
though, yeah.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I actually found, like, not to get, like, therapy, but I actually found that, like, I mean, at, like, before coming to uni, especially, like, 16, like, I was so depressed. Like, I was, like, really, like, in such a low place. And I couldn't figure out why every time I went home I got really depressed. Like, and it was, like, especially in the first, like, couple terms of the first year, like, I hated going home. Like, I couldn't do it because, like, every time I, like, couldn't, like, leave my room, like, it was, like, this really weird thing. And I was like, oh, it's, like, switching back to, like, like, London allowed me to, like, leave that behind almost in, like, a really weird, like, almost physical way. It felt like I'd, like, left bags in my, you know.
It's really liberating
Yeah,
to
for
leave
sure.
like where you've grown up, I think.
And I think you don't understand that. I think sorry, not you. You don't
You
get it.
Yeah.
You guys don't get it. No, like I feel like I didn't understand how much place and environment has.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously
Yeah.
it does. That's just like nurture, isn't it? But like how much your physical environment, your built environment, like has on you, and how much like the associations with that has
I
on
think
you.
I
you know?
have like quite an opposite experience to you. 'Cause I think when I was living in Hong Kong, 'cause, like, not as much as you, but I lived in Hong Kong for like 16 years of my life before I moved, and I was just getting so bored there because it's quite a small city, and I like wanted to leave.
That's a crazy thing.
And then, no, I was getting really bored there. And then, no, I think it made me, like, appreciate it so much more when I do go back. And it's, like, because now I'm, like, I'm actually, like, excited to go back. And I feel like I can do so much. Like, genuinely, the last, I think, 2 years of my life when I've been back, I've explored so much more of the city than I have the entire,
I love
like,
it now.
yeah, like,
it's like the time has been long enough that you've lost that.
Exactly. And it's, like, I just get to do so many more things. And it's, like, I don't know, it is like similar to I feel like the childhood self of me, but it's like I'm re-exploring that stuff.
Yeah, same.
It's more exciting because I'm not there for that much time.
And now for me, the association is like, oh, like I'm going home so that my parents can take care of me, and like I can like have dinners cooked for me again, and like you know, like become this kind of like I feel cared for, as opposed to like feeling like shit, you know. So it's kind of a nice, like you can like replace those associations with time, I think, which is nice.
Like I think it just made me actually appreciate the city and my culture so much more, and like I think I said before, but like being in London makes me actually want to like connect more with my culture, and I feel like the distance allowed me to like come to that realization. And
I was gonna ask, like, maybe this is a silly question, but like how do you grapple, I've never used that word before, but how do you grapple with like I guess the kind of contradicting feelings of like if there's any kind of like resentment towards Britain, or like the fact that you've had your culture like in a way kind of removed from you, or like or kind of hidden from you, like how do you deal with that?
I actually cry every night.
The way I believed you for a second.
No, me too.
No, I'm sorry.
No, I don't know. I feel like I'm so like really I feel like it's less like I can't believe you did this to me, but more just like, oh, I wish I could have been a bit like, not like my parents' fault, but like I wish I tried harder to not become so like Americanized or like westernized, because I think like obviously growing up in an international school, most of the people around me were like grew up in like Western families or just like international backgrounds, and then I wanted to fit in with them, so I like spent most of my time like engaging in like westernized activities and culture to help me be able to like fit in with these people. But then it actually made me fit in a lot less with like the rest of my family. And I think I was gonna say it's like interesting because I'm like literally the only person in my like entire family, at least like my close family, that is so anglicized, because everyone else has like my cousins and stuff have gone to like not international schools, and then their main language is obviously Cantonese, and like all my family, like older generations and stuff, are all just like Chinese Cantonese. So I'm genuinely like the only person that's so anglicized, and I think it's weird, I would say, because there's not really, I don't really have any, I don't have any like close like cousins or anything, because we're just very different people, I think.
That actually just I can't speak to you guys.
You're gonna say something before this?
No, this is a different thing, but it's fine. I think I was just thinking again about like being able to like use the Western vocabulary and like sort of your education to critique maybe like Western trains of thought, or that sounds kind of weird, but like just
taking
like
it down from the inside.
like being in a position where you're able to like express yourself in a way that's understood by maybe established like sort of academia, or like just as like a system. I feel like specifically international students who have gone through like international schools, and so who are able to like speak that sort of language, or like often get put in that position where it's like because people are aware that you're able to approach this with like the nuances provided to you by like a Western system, like they often ask, you know, like, what are your thoughts on X, Y, and Z? And I don't know, like I don't know how to like take that sometimes, because I feel like sometimes there's an expectation for you to answer in a certain way. It's not always like the same thing, but like an expectation for you to express outrage, or like ultimately say something that maybe just allows people to then like reinforce their image of what Western people think that non-Western people think about the West. I feel like that's a very roundabout way of putting it, but yeah, that's just something I noticed as well. Sometimes I feel like they want confirmation on something that they think they've like been suspecting, and I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I saw, speaking about academia and stuff, I remember seeing somewhere, I don't know how factual this is, so if it's like completely wrong and problematic, tell me. But I saw somewhere where it was like standing up for yourself in academia, or something like speaking out about your thoughts and opinions is a very westernized like
no, that's incorrect.
thought. Oh well, okay, just cancel me now. No,
actually, you just didn't stood up for yourself. That's an example of it being correct.
Yeah. No, but yeah, I saw like standing up for yourself, and like in academia especially, is a very westernized idea. So that's why like people who are not from like the West, or like did not grow up in a westernized environment.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know where this is gonna go, but
I guess it's also like discipline and how you're brought up in education systems and like the hierarchy of that.
This is reminding me of my writing essay.
Oh,
But
oh no.
Sorry. No, but it's actually really interesting, because I remember one of the things I was like reading about and writing about was how, first of all, obviously like academia has the barrier of like language. Like English is the most like well like read, I don't know, respectable academic language. I don't know what to say. But also there was this one reading, I think it was like called The Subaltern Can't Speak, and it was just about how like literally like the people who probably like need to speak up for themselves the most, like, or like actually that's the wrong way to put it, but are like, yeah, it's just how like the people who need a voice just don't have a voice. Like you will pretty much like never get to hear them.
So true.
I use that same thing in my writing essay.
I also use that word in my performance. Quoted subaltern.
Oh my god, talk about performance essays to me.
That's a really good read though. I was like, well, shit. Anyway.
Yeah. I also feel like, this is a completely separate point, but like growing up in a place that's not technically your culture doesn't mean that, like, it depends on how much you yourself as an individual like wants to engage with it, and how much you like have tried to immerse yourself in this culture and to educate yourself about the culture. Because it's like a random thing, but my friend, she obviously grew up in Hong Kong with me for like a good, I don't even know, like 8-10 years of her life, and then she's like in Australia now, and she's working in like a jewelry store. And then her manager told her, basically, like, she was like trying to serve this like Chinese customer, but it ended up that she didn't make the sale. And her manager, who's Chinese, is like, oh, you probably couldn't make the sale because like you can't like understand like Chinese culture or something like that, like being like something like that. And she just found that really like rude and also wrong, because she obviously did grow up in like Hong Kong, and a place which has Chinese culture, and she is someone who like has immersed herself in the culture and made a point to learn about it. So like it's just like the assumption again of like oh, you're white, so you can't understand culture that's not your own, even if she had grown up there.
I think that's a really interesting point in relation to like my own situation, where like because of the way my sister's been perceived, she has felt she's had to seek out more like research about like India than probably I well, she is a historian in fairness to me, but like she's done a lot more research into India and like our family's connection to India than I would say I've done.
I think you've done quite a bit, but
not enough, like definitely not enough, like in comparison.
Yours is semantic.
Mine's, I can do like a performance on it, you know. But yeah, I don't know, I think it really depends like on your personal like experience of being perceived as something, whether you
Definitely.
like go out and search for it. I think that applies to a lot of people like in the UK as well.
I know I felt sometimes like a weird sense of like responsibility to maybe have to like point it out and like inform people if they're making generalized or maybe a bit like a bit off, like, I don't know, not assumptions, but like if they're if in a discussion, like if they're making statements about, let's say, Korea or like Korean history, I have felt like a weird sense of like responsibility, like I have to not correct it, but as in I need to like inform in some capacity. And I've been also trying to figure out whether that's not anyone's duty to have to like correct people's perceptions, but there's also something that comes with, I think it's also because I've been in environments where there weren't a lot of like other Korean people around, like a weird sense of thing that comes from like being sort of the only person that everyone can visibly perceive as well, being Korean and like coming from Korea. Because that's, and like I obviously, you know, fair enough, I get asked like in a class or a seminar where like, you know, we watched a Korean film, like what do you have anything that you can add as a Korean person? And so it's like a bit of pressure to like keep yourself informed as well, like so I think I see what you're like, I understand what you're trying to say as well.
I was reminded of class last year when our module leader, they like made like a French reference and then looked at Serena.
Like,
you get it, right?
He fully name dropped me and he was like, Serena,
funny.
you understand because you're from, you grew up in the French system, right? I was like, yeah.
Or like when someone says, "Oh, an autistic and gay film," and then looks again.
She literally, the autistic bit as well. That affected me. Sorry, I just remembered that.
It's so targeted.
I get
Anything
so
gay or autistic.
Literally, but I'm not even autistic, so I was very shocked.
It was actually crazy.
It was mad at things, autistic, and what was that? Political. I got many.
Angry as well.
I also got a gender look.
Oh, gender.
That was funny. I just get lots of looks, guys.
Maybe
everyone loves me.
Maybe she just knew that you were the one person in the room that would be
Who's
able
autistic.
to. No, that would be able to add a point to the conversation.
Yeah. I'll keep telling myself that.
they're all good looks too.
Yeah.
It is funny though. I feel like, I mean, I don't know if I can talk. I mean, it's not really the same thing, is it? But like, there's certain, being, you know, part of a minority group and like forgetting that you're perceived that way and then being reminded out of the blue.
Yeah, when
it's such
someone
a
looks
weird.
at you.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like that's not something that I always have in my head.
It's really not nice, actually.
Yeah, and then when someone like, and they're like, "Oh, that's their first like schema of me." You know?
I'd like
It's
to
such,
apologize. I feel like I did that to Serena recently.
What?
Wait, what did you do?
Someone mentioned being bi and I looked at
Oh.
her, so I want to
Oh,
apologize.
what the hell?
I'm sorry.
Is this
What
like
was
a
it? Oh, that was
going around the circle?
yesterday.
I would like to apologise to Fredi because earlier.
Oh my god.
Earlier, Kit said Freddie's a lesbian. Was it Kit?
I'm just projecting.
No, wait, sorry. Can I just Indian? Okay.
Yeah, that reminds me of
Guys,
like.
it's okay. With Indians, there's so many people to look
There's 2 people. It's fine.
No, that reminds me of like.
That
That reminds me of like those memes on like, I don't know, like Reels or something. It was like when they're talking about slavery and everyone looks towards
No,
the
but
black,
it
the black
does,
person
like,
in the class.
I would say like we were having a lecture on race and film, and I would say that like those things definitely they're little microaggressions. They come up because like if we're talking about Korean cinema, people look to you, and it shouldn't you have to justify.
I don't personally consider that like a microaggression. It's just like I feel like it's more of a personal thing to me. It's just like I think it's a choice. Like if you're fine with it, like, and honestly, not everyone cares about it at the same extent that I do.
Also, I guess it depends who's looking at you. Like if it's like a friendly thing, it's fine.
Yeah, obviously.
I'm trying to defend myself to Serena. I
do all the time.
It's absolutely fine.
It's like
when
it's more just an issue of perception, I think. And like how you're viewed.
It's like my dad was at this event and it was like a political kind of thing, and it was like, oh, Adrian, are you alright to serve the curry? It was like, no, I'm not. You know, little things like that.
Yeah, there's someone on our course, I won't name them, who would like, at the start of first year would always come up to me and ask me for fashion advice.
Hello?
What? I was like, do you just think I'm fashionable, or is this like, I don't know. But it was like all the time they would be like, oh, like, I feel like I really need to like buy a new scarf, or like I feel like, and they'd be like, which one do you think? I'll tell you later. They're like, which one do you think? And I'd be like, I don't know, it's up to you. Like, fucking look at me. I'm not like I'm a
style icon.
Yeah,
well, that was shade right there.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to, but with that other views that were expressed, I was like, oh, that definitely is like, I think that.
That is quite
it's a strange stereotype, but it's still a stereotype.
I wouldn't really. Yeah, that's not a thing. I feel like I wouldn't automatically assume that as an association.
No, that is.
But it is
when
thing.
you say it, it makes a lot of sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
Because they would never ask anyone else, and I was like, there's more fashionable people on this course.
That's really interesting, actually. I also think it's like very dependent on, obviously, your friend group, people you surround yourself by. Because, well, this is like not even about our topic, but you know, like the slurs and stuff, like people. Well, we were watching this piece in Pride where it was like an intergenerational gap between two queer people, and then the older person thinks that obviously like the F slur is a slur, and they don't like it makes them uncomfortable hearing it, whereas the younger generation uses it just like as, since they are queer, they use it. Use it as a. So there was like a thing.
Oh, in Pride.
Yeah,
I loved that one.
It was really good, but just like that whole thing about like slurs and who's like allowed to use it, and in so many social groups sometimes like around their friends and stuff, they're like, okay, you can say it, like it's not, it doesn't hurt me as a thing if you say it, but then with like to like a complete outsider looking into that, they might be like, that's actually so crazy.
I hella related to that because all of secondary school I was called slurs like left, right and centre, and there was like this group of lads that would like
it's always the lads, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? And they just
boys.
didn't have a life. Like they would spend lunchtimes following me around and like you know, and like I like couldn't go into a classroom without it being like whispered like behind me. And sorry. And like I remember going to college and like it was nice that I could like get away from that. But then, like, there was people that, like, I went to such a gay college, like, literally, I don't know if any of you seen season 4 of Sex Education, but it was literally that. And, like, people would so often come up to you and be like, hey, faggot, and it was like, oh my god, like, and I'd never experienced that before, and it's such a jarring experience to, like, words have so much power, like, and, like, it's really,
that word, like, I cut my hair short, classic, got like chased down the road by a bunch of 12-year-old boys like with that word.
Genuinely insane.
It is. It's like that also I was 20 at this point. I was like, I've had a nap, you know, literally. And it's like the weaponization of that.
And it's like as soon as a word has that like weight to it into you, anytime anyone uses it in any way, it's gonna like. The way that he explained it in the play was so perfect. Like it like takes you exactly back to that place. Yeah. And it's like, it's really.
Yeah, I think it's also, we can link this back to culture, because I think in Hong Kong for some reason it's like really normalized to say like the R slur as like a you know, like a jokey insult thing. It's just like very normalized. I think in like growing up as a kid, I don't even think I realized it was that bad of like a slur. I just kind of, it's just a thing that people say. And then, well, obviously now here it's like weird because people put a lot of emphasis onto like how bad, like you shouldn't really say that word, but then growing up in Hong Kong it's like boys would just say it whenever, and I think it was a weird occurrence. I was like at my friend's place and then their flatmate said like the slur just like in casual conversation, and they were like, and then they looked at me, and I think because like we're both from Hong Kong, so he probably understood that I knew that it wasn't like meant in a negative way, but then to the other people in the room they were probably a bit like, oh, I don't know how they felt, but I think he was shocked that his flatmate said that, because obviously to them it's normal, and like to me it was normal in a way, but then to other people who didn't grow up in that sort of vernacular vocabulary culture, it would have been quite crazy. And like even like today we were talking about in performance.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
We were talking about in performance like the C word.
In America, people are like, oh my god, and then like every British person is every single like.
Sorry, I was like, did we say that?
Yeah. Well, because I was thinking about like slurs as well. Another one on the topic, because like, and also Fredi, your point about like realizing that like sometimes being like brought back and being like, oh wait, these people don't actually see me as like someone different.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I ever felt the full brunt of it as like intensely until I came here in like the 2 years I went to school here, because like my school was also very small. It was like, it's not even like London zone whatever, it was like all the way down somewhere. It was a tiny school, like not many like POCs around at all, and like there were maybe like 12 people in the entire year. There was only one class.
That's
insane. It was really small. It was really small, and I think that just like amplified it, obviously.
Yeah.
But I didn't even know like half the like racial kind of slurs and like existed. I don't think it had weight for me as well until I came here, and then, like so that was also like a bit of a shock.
Yeah, I think similarly, since I grew up in like Hong Kong and like multicultural whatever, like I never really experienced like racism in that way. And obviously I knew that I was like a minority group or whatever, but obviously growing up around mostly Chinese people, we wouldn't be racist towards each other. So I think I never, like luckily enough, I've never had like experiences like that. So it is weird like coming to the UK, like I didn't necessarily feel like self-conscious, but sometimes I'd be like, oh wait, it is kind of weird that I'm like not the same. And I think I've like lost the plot. I don't know where my point is going, but yeah, like I wouldn't really like, I knew the slur obviously, but I didn't like and then sometimes I'm like walking in London and I'm like, wait, like what if I do get hate crimed or something like that? And it's like I've never had that thought before, but then like I also feel like it's like society telling you like, oh, you should be careful because you know, and it's like, but I never had to have been careful. And then they're like, oh, but you're in London or whatever. So it's like it's weird.
There's a kind of like innocence that gets destroyed when you kind of like go into a place with like literally just like an open heart, and then it's like, well, wait.
For sure. And again, it's so easy to forget because to you it's not a, you know,
it's not a thing.
This thing that you like.
I think it's still I grew up with different people like of all sorts, and it was probably still a thing, but I think maybe I was just young as well.
Or at least like it wasn't directed to me as a
But like going through about your daily life, like are you constantly thinking like, oh, I'm Korean, like, you know what I mean? Like I feel like it's like something that you're not constantly aware of, and when it's like reminded to you in an aggressive way, it's like, oh my god, like you know, like it's so easy to, you know.
I thankfully haven't had to, I don't think, like go through any of that since coming to uni though.
That's good.
Which is
was it like, who was I with? Sorry, it was like we were in like Westfield last year. And we were eating food, and these like young schoolgirls, mind you, came up to us and was like, oh, do you have some change? And we were like, no, sorry. And then they walked away, but then they were like, I don't even remember what they said, but they said something really racist about like, because we were eating Korean food, and then they were like, what did they say?
They were like, I don't know, something like, oh, they're eating their Chinese food or something. I can't even give us money. Yeah, something like that.
And we were eating Korean food, first of all. And then and like it's not even confirmed that we were Chinese, obviously. And it was like young schoolgirls, and like I'm pretty sure they were also POC, just like not,
they were.
Like,
I think they were black, or like mixed or something. I don't remember.
I was like, and that was like, I think that was like one of the first experiences I had of someone actually being like racist, and I was like, that's so odd.
It's growing up in the UK, like the schooling. I remember there's this one girl in my class, like primary school, I distinctly remember her saying to my sister that like she was so young, like she said that she wanted to like bleach her skin because she was the only like POC
my
girl
God.
in our it was really, and it's so young, like what 6 months,
Oh my
6
God.
maybe, like
That's heartbreaking.
That's a really, yeah.
My friend, I mean, it was maybe, I think maybe she was like 9, was like walking home from school and like had a sandwich thrown in her face.
yeah.
Oh my god.
And like I think a slur shouted as well.
Yeah.
It's like, it's crazy how young.
No,
Like
Yeah.
race doesn't, you
Yeah.
know, people don't care about your
Yeah,
age.
thinking
when
about
comes
it
to race.
now, like, I think I touched on it before, but it's not like I was racism against, but growing up in like an international school where most of the students were white or just they knew about like Western culture, I feel like what's my point? Like I kind of like I had this thing of be like I wish I was like American, or I wish I like grew up with a Western family so that I'm able to relate to all these people. And I feel like I had that like outsider syndrome growing up in like a white school, like in an international school. But then now that I'm here, I'm like, oh, I wish that I didn't do all that, and I wish that I still put in a lot like effort to stay within and connected to my culture, because now I can't relate to like people actually from my culture. And so it's like it's the opposite thing now. But like growing up, I was like, oh, I wish blah 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 blah. But now I'm just like, whatever, man.
No, but I mean, I think about the hate crime, because I think it was during COVID, right? How like people were starting like to attack like East Asia, or I don't know, just maybe Asian, Asian people who looked Chinese or whatever, what they assumed was Chinese, and they were like literally attacking like elderly people, right? And I think I was scrolling and I was like, wait, I look because like I grew up white, right? So I don't know, I didn't really think about how I looked, and especially because the French school, there are like a lot of like non-white people. I mean, not Asian people, but like there are like a lot of Arabs because of colonialization and stuff. So it's like a very like not. I mean, I wouldn't say diverse in terms of like all around the world, but like it's not just white people, right? And so I was scrolling, I was like, wait, I could literally just walk in the street and I could be attacked for no reason other than just looking like, oh, I mean, I guess I am Chinese, but you know, like people assuming that I am Chinese and then attacking me just because, I don't know, this like virus that
like
I have no control over.
The amount of relief I actually felt fairly recently when I realised we'd gone back to Dubai like maybe a year before the pandemic was insane, because I could not have imagined like being in the UK, to be completely honest. Like during
2024 there were like race riots again.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, insane, not race riots, that's the wrong term, but it was kind of, there started to be those attacks on just randomized attacks. And I remember like I was on this course and I remember texting like my sister and my dad just be careful, because it was getting to that point where people were getting attacked again, literally just like based on how they look.
I think I was saying this to Hyein a while ago, but it's like whenever I wait for the tube, I like try and stand by the wall, because I saw because I saw a reel, I think a couple of years back before I moved here, I think, of like, I don't know if she was Chinese, but like of an Asian woman, she got like pushed into the tracks and like basically died because like they were
that was when I went to New York as well, like 2023. It was like sort of still
so like I saw that reel and I never really thought about it, but then whenever I'm in London or like a European city, I'm scared, so then I always like wait for the train, because obviously there's also like it's open, so I wait for the train like by a wall, or I make sure I'm like standing where no one can push me from behind.
I worry about that in general. I'm like, that's just a random person coming up to me.
But it's like I've never had to think about that when I'm in Hong Kong or something, because obviously well, I do think it's weird that like people who are in a minority group can be then racist to other people in a minority group, or like not only racist but like homophobic or
conversation.
that's a whole other conversation. But I feel so strongly about like how I don't understand, like if you understand what it feels like to be in a minority group, why do you then feel the need to put that energy on?
No, I have a story about that. When I was like 6. No, was I 6? I don't remember how old I was. I was quite young and I was in Paris, and I swear like this was like my earliest memory of like a racist encounter, because I don't know, it was like I was in a library, because there was like this club or whatever, and I wanted to sit with this girl who I had like tutoring with, and she was with her friend, and I wanted to sit with her because I was like, I think my friend at that time was sick, so she didn't come to school, so I was basically alone, right? And so I was like, oh my god, can I sit with you? And she was like, no, we don't want you to sit with us. Which, first of all, what the heck? And then second of all, I kept trying, and she was like, no, I don't want like I don't want you here in your like Chinese eyes or whatever. And she literally pulled her eyes back, okay? And she was like, yeah. And then I was like, what the heck? And then I almost cried, and I almost told like the librarian, but I didn't, because I don't know why. But I distinctly remember her being also Asian. Like, I'm pretty sure she must have been like half like Southeast Asian and French. Probably from like Vietnam, because in France and Vietnam, I don't know, there's a lot of like Vietnamese people in Paris. But I remember her also being Asian, and I was like at the time I didn't really clock it, but now I always look back at that moment. I'm like, how can like a person who's also like of that group of people also like do like be racist towards someone that would look somewhat like you, I was like, it's okay.
Yes. Like,
and it's also like, sorry, I keep relating it to queer issues, but like intersectionality, isn't it? But like how like so much of the anti-trans movement is led by lesbian, trans-exclusive, vaginal feminists, and I'm like, do you not see that this is exactly what was happening in the 80s and 90s? Like, literally within your lifetime, like how are you enforcing the same ideologies? I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah, I was gonna say like, I don't know, I feel like with India, because obviously it's like Indians like mostly, but there's still like so much conflict between like religion, caste. There's still like whitewashing, like skin tone, I don't know, people still generally like prefer lighter skin tones and stuff, and it's like, I don't think I was like protected from racism pretty much all my life, I think, because I wasn't really exposed to it, but obviously it was like there were still other forms of like, it's always there, like, I don't know, humans just have to divide themselves for some reason, which was all obviously colonization made everything worse. But I feel like the brunt of like, I feel like I've just seen so much stuff online. Like, the internet is very big. And there's so much racism on it.
Yeah. I also think, was a different point, but I think it's like an interesting thing with like Western films, like European films, and like TV of them now more recently trying to include representation. And it's like this like interesting thing of them being like, oh, we need to make sure that we have like one Asian, like one like black person or one queer person, and like
it's quota casting.
Exactly. Like, I just think it's it's a whole other discussion, but it's an interesting thing of them like attempting to show that they're like diverse instead of really putting any effort into representing it correctly. Or it's like someone will like praise a Western show for including diversity, but then they won't go and watch anything that's an actual like I don't know, like for example like an Asian like casted so like
it's who has the like the initial voice, I guess, who's given that like voice to begin with, and then those shows generally get, I don't know, the ones who already has the voice, those shows get made, and then it's like, oh, we've got to find a way of making this like not like from this perspective, so let's just find different ways of doing that. And it's like, actually we should be trying to encourage like more and different perspectives.
There was so much discourse with like the live action like Disney films.
I was literally just thinking about
but then like I remember like reading a lot of comments of people being like, instead of just trying to randomly diversify a character that wasn't meant to be of this ethnicity, why can't they just create new stories to represent people from those,
and maybe have, I don't know, maybe a few people of colour in the writers' room as
well.
And in the production stage and everything.
Yeah, like, literally, exactly. So,
for sure.
Anyways, we have a few minutes left.
Should we try and wrap up? Oh,
Yeah.
shall I talk about my thing?
Oh yes! Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
Okay, so because I'm the only one that was here in London, because I'm dedicated to the I went to. So basically, we're trying to collab with the New Black Film Collective, and the wonderful leader of that
Founder,
CEO, Priscilla. We were in contact with her. We had a call with her. And we're really excited for that. And she invited us to help with a screening in the Walpole Street Cinema. And it was of the film Love and Rage, Munro Bergdorf. And yeah, I went to help out. And it was a really beautiful film. It was. I didn't actually know much about her. I think I'd seen her on like bloody Piers Morgan or something. Like ruins my life. And it was really emotional. I didn't expect it to be so, but it was just kind of, the experience of a black trans woman in the UK. And she basically posted something on Twitter she was like partnering with, I think it was like L'Oreal or something, and she tweeted something about blah 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 blah. Yes, I'm talking about all white people. And for some reason that statement, obviously for that statement like sparked so much content. She was invited on every talk show where the hosts would just shout at her and talk over her the whole time. And then L'Oreal, I think it might not have been, to be fair, it might have been Maybelline or something, ended her contract, like cut ties with her. Basically everyone cut ties with her. She was like alone. And she had to like start from scratch and like build this whole new brand. And she kind of like is a model, but also like an activist and a speaker and stuff. But it was also kind of about what's going on behind the scenes. And I think you see these like, it talked so much about like being seen as like this powerful figure and the pressure that put on her to always be that, when behind the scenes she was like falling apart over like this, this media bullshit and the loss of her best friend. So yeah, it was a very kind of like interesting insight into this one person's life, but that represents a lot, I'm sure, a lot of lived experience. Very current as well, with the constant discourse and vilification of trans people. Protect the dolls. But anyway, sorry, I was invited to be a panelist and I didn't realise. So I was like watching the film and I was meant to be sat at the front. But yeah, I mean, there was this talk given by the head of gender studies at LSE. So they were answering questions about the film and about kind of trans and race issues in general and kind of intersectionality and stuff. And it was very interesting. There were some discussions about the whole sports issue, which I think is of all the annoying gender discourse, that's probably the one that has the most actual like two-sided argument to it, I think. And yeah, looking forward to working with Priscilla again, and maybe that leader of that module. But yeah, we'll post about that. I keep meaning to
I just googled it, and the film is available on Amazon Prime and YouTube and other stuff. So I mean, you have to pay for it, but I'm probably gonna watch it.
Yeah, me too.
And also very much tied into themes of perception. Because one of the questions was like, do you think her experience would be different if she wasn't like beautiful? And I was like, that's such a good question. Like, are trans women only accepted and seen as like a public voice when they pass and when they like and when they are also conforming to like beauty standards, not that that's not an issue on her behalf, but like an issue of public perception. But yeah, go watch that film. What should we summarise the points we've made today about? Yeah,
should we just round it off with a little bit of international cultural?
It's a bit hard to do.
I know.
We've
we had a very rambly episode today, but I liked it.
We opened up a lot of like really
big counterparts. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's like dismantling Eurocentrism.
Literally. We are going to single-handedly.
Oh my god.
I said to the head
the ripe age of like the range of 19 to 20 somethings, like
20, 45.
What age are you? I'm 44, Fredi. Let's get that right.
I could be at this point, to be fair.
No, but I was explaining our thing to this head of gender studies, and I said our bold claim was that we were going to dismantle Eurocentrism, and they went, "Oh, single-handedly." I was like,
no, earlier I was like, we're in performance class, and Ali asked for recommendations for songs, and Carl and I recommended this song, and she was like, "Oh, I haven't heard that since the 1970s." And I was like, "Am I that old?"
Get the boomer. We would conclude, but it seems like we've had quite a lot of.
I think there's just a lot of food for thought for our audience.
Definitely.
It's an ever-changing subject.
Our audience, that is us.
There's so much to say.
Yeah, 100%. But again, I think we're very focused on personal experience and lived experience and an embodied experience, especially. And I think we've really gone into that today, which is interesting. But yeah, so thanks for listening. And once again, sail away on the 7 frequencies. Sail away, sail away, sail away.